मीटिंग और चल रही है साथ में, तो हम बहुत ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं दे पाएंगे. The thing I want to discuss or revise in today's lecture is very important aspect of international environmental law, or particularly environmental law in Indian perspective, is the historical aspect of environmental law in India. I think you all know about the fact that India had a colorful history. With each phase of the colonization, either by Aryan in one of the earliest civilization of the world, Harappa and Mohenjo-daro civilization, the occupation of the country by Mughals from Central Asia, and finally the 300 years old domination by England. Environmental law have kept pace with each phase according to administrative desire of the occupants. So if we trace the origin of environmental law in India, we found that the philosophy of the Vedic period recognized 5 natural elements as a Panch Mahabhut, for worship. And these 5 basic natural elements are water, earth, food grains, sun, air and sky. मैंने डिस्कस किया है पहले भी. श्री रामचरितमानस में तुलसीदास जी ने लिखा है, क्षिति जल पावक गगन समीरा, 5 तत्व से बना शरीरा. So these 5 natural elements, water, earth, food, grains, sun, air and sky, are as importance because these 5 things makes human body. Since the Vedic period, earth and rivers are worshipped as mothers. We treat rivers as mother, earth as mother. मातृभूमि पुत्रो अहम पृथिव्या, पृथ्वी माता है और हम सभी उसके पुत्र हैं. And Hinduism regarded by many as Sanatan Dharma, or the eternal truth, contains the one of the oldest scripture of the world. The scripture contains in them the philosophy, theology and spiritual guidance for life, which forms the religion for over 1 billion people. But if we trace the ancient provision, ancient Hindu scriptures believes in establishing harmony amongst the component on the earth. Nature as a whole was an important component, and the scriptures believe that the nature controlled man and not the other way around. Thus, for man to live peacefully, establishing harmonic relationship with the nature was essential. सर्वधर्म संभाव, वसुधैव कुटुंबकम, was an internal aspect of this belief. Ancient Hindu texts have specific teaching on environmental issues. For example, Rig Veda states that do not cut tree because they remove pollution. Yajurveda provides do not disturb the sky and do not pollute the atmosphere. Not only the Veda, but there are some codes which also prescribes for protection of environment in India. For example, Charak Samhita provides that destruction of forest is taken as destruction of the state, and reforestation an act of rebuilding the state and advancing its welfare. So protection of animals is considered as sacred duty. तो चरक संहिता में भी इस बात पे जोर दिया गया कि अगर हम फॉरेस्ट को डिस्ट्रक्ट करते हैं तो ये कहा गया कि इट इज डिस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ स्टेट, ये स्टेट को डिस्ट्रक्ट करना हुआ। और रिफॉरेस्टेशन अगर करते हैं तो ये कहा गया कि हम स्टेट को रिकॉन्स्ट्रक्ट कर रहे हैं और स्टेट के वेलफेयर को एडवांस कर रहे हैं। इसके साथ साथ एनिमल के प्रोटेक्शन को एक पवित्र कर्तव्य माना गया चरक संहिता में। एंड फर्स्ट स्टैंजा ऑफ ईशोपनिषद states that resources are given to mankind for their living. Knowledge of using them is necessary. Resources दिए गए हैं हमारे उपनिषदों में, हमारे हियरिंग्स में, लेकिन उनका नॉलेज यूज करना अत्यंत आवश्यक है। And similarly, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna compared the world to a single large banyan tree, which has unlimited branches, under which all the species of animal, human life live. Thus, scriptures have envisioned a bond not just between nature and man, but also animal life and vegetation. Another Hindu concept proposed the good of the community over personal good. सर्वजन हिताय सर्वजन सुखाय, पर्सनल गुड पे कम्युनिटी के गुड को वरीयता दी गई। एंड दिस कॉन्सेप्ट फॉल्स अंडर द एजिस ऑफ धर्मास एंड इज कॉल्ड सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिना, Sarve Bhavantu Niramaya. Amongst other components, environmental safeguarding takes high priority under our concept. Doctrine of karma is also one of the most important concepts, which speaks about consequences of one's action, whether good or bad. The consequences of one's deed follow him through his life, and the cycle does not stop at the end of current life cycle but continues till next birth. ये कहा गया कि एक जन्म में ही ये साइकिल पूरा नहीं होता है, बल्कि न्यू बर्थ भी होता रहता है। इट इज रोटेटरी। एवरी एक्शन परफॉर्म्ड creates a chain of reaction. So polluting the environment is supposed to be bad karma and could lead to a cycle reaction of unfavorable life consequences. कौटिल्य का नाम आप लोगों ने सुना होगा। Kautilya was ancient lawmakers, rule makers. Kautilya, as a lawmaker of distinction in ancient India, wrote about environmental protection in large canvas of ethical administration. His greatest production, you know that Arthashastra has been foundation of legal philosophy in India. In Arthashastra 2.145 phrase, Kautilya wrote that the punishment of 1/8 panna should be awarded to those who throw dust on the road. For muddy water, 1/4 panna. And if both are thrown, then the punishment has to be doubled. So, for polluting the environment, there was punishment also in the form of panna or in the form of pecuniary punishment at ancient India. And 256 BC, the great king Ashoka, practicing Buddhism, issued 7 pillar edicts, one of which states that 26 years after my coronation, various animals were declared to be protected. Parrots, mynas, ruddy, wild ducks, birds, queen ants, terrapins, boneless fish, tortoises, porcupines, squirrels, deers, bulls, wild asses, wild pigeons, domestic pigeons, and all four-footed creatures that are neither useful nor edible. According to Buddhist scholar Ben S. Dhammika, Ashoka is significant today with widespread disillusionment is prevailing ideologies and the search for a political philosophy that goes beyond greed, hatred, and delusions. Ashoka edicts many makes a meaningful contribution to the development of a more spiritually based political system, which was depend upon the mercy. And Gandhi drew inspiration from the deep Hindu tradition of a trusteeship. In Ishopanishad, there is a verse saying that selfish man overutilizing the resource of nature to satisfy his own ever-increasing need is thieves, because using resources beyond one's need would result in the utilization of resources to which others have right. This influenced Mahatma Gandhi. As he said, the country's development has to be in harmony with the nature. Each member of a country has to live in communication. Each member of the community has to live in communion with nature, and the earth has resources as to meet everybody's need, but not everybody's greed. Man must voluntarily limit his wants. We must learn to live lives of simplicity and austerity. So, Hindu philosophy saw nature as sustainer of humanity, and harnessing it should be governed by principle of need and reverence. And the essence, nature was an asset, is to be held in a trust. And this turn how global concept sustained the development is seen today in Hindu philosophy, provided a strong philosophical base for this concept. This was little bit down in medieval period. In medieval India was marked by emergence of Islamic rule of Mughals, known for their lavish Mughal period was known as their lavish architectural heritage. The Mughal took pride in building great garden parks throughout the length and breadth of the country, which were used as a resort or summer thread houses. Islam sought harmony between man and the nature. During this period, people lived in such way not to destabilize the ecosystem. Mughal never codified new law regarding the environment. They did make laws regarding hunting. The lack of law affected forest conservation. Through Mughals were known to be deep lover of the environment. And in British time, the Britishers colonized India, and for next 300 years plundered the natural resources in the country, with profit motive being mechanism behind the exploitation. Though the environmental law were passed, they were myopic with limited territorial reach. These laws did not have any teeth because the law which existed to prosecute the exploiter was made by the exploiters. अब यहाँ पे ये कहा गया कि लॉ कोई टीथ नहीं रखता था, मींस देयर वाज नो इफेक्टिव पनिशमेंट, because the reason is very known that the law breakers were the law framers, lawmakers. So in essence, the British were the only entity which invested in the exploiting the natural resources, and the laws were made by them. Thus, environmental protection took a backseat. And environmental law mostly regulated forest, water pollution, and wildlife issues. And greatest exploitation of natural resources in India was the forest. And due to geographical diversity in India, forest provided many different type of timbers. British slowly extended their domination over Indian natural resources. And in 1805, when they formed a commission to inquire into availability of teak in the forest of South India, the conservator of forest was appointed, but conserver in turn plundered the forest, and the post was abolished in 1823. In 1985, Lord Dalhousie, then the Governor General of India, started Indian Forest Department, which led to annexation of the large tract of the land under pretext of conservation of forest. These forests became protected and were stabbed by professionals. Some of the important environmental legislation passed by Britishers: Shore Nuisance Act 1853, Orient Gas Company Act 1857, Indian Fisheries Act 1897, Indian Ports Act 1901, Bengal Smoke Nuisance Act 1905, the Explosive Act 1908, Indian Ports Act 1908, Bombay Smoke Nuisance Act 1912, Indian Steam Vessels Act 1917, and Indian Forest Act 1927. Amongst them, Indian Forest Act 1927 is still in existence. So we see that British hardly helped to save environment in India, but they did leave behind text environmental laws which had no teeth. After India achieved independence, these laws were suitably amended by law framers, then put into force. And after Stockholm Declaration, Stockholm Conference 1972, environmental law in India were brought with greater atheism and ably supported by the judiciary with the landmark judgments, and law framers by making new statutes. This was the ancient concept regarding protection of environment.